Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering A Good Medium is Rare, and this is episode 6 of the new Scooby-Doo movies, and it originally aired on October 14th, 1972. Here the gang meet comedian Phyliss Diller, who was a comedian that was very popular from the 70s, 60s, maybe the 50s, and 80s. And I don't really know much about her, but I always knew who she was. I remember her being on The Muppet Show, I believe, and just on a lot of variety shows and game shows from the time. I always liked her. I always thought she was quite funny back when I was a kid and always looked up to her. Anyway, in this episode, someone is after Phyllis's jewels, and in this episode, she doesn't necessarily play herself, but a comedic version of herself where she's kind of like a black widow in that she marries rich older husbands and then they die and she inherits their fortunes. This is in real life. Phyliss always had this crazy, funny cackle that you'd always smile when you heard it. And you hear that a lot in this episode. I don't have much trivia, so let's get on with my review. The episode begins with the gang walking out of the movie theater where Scooby is frightened by the films they just saw. They had attended a double feature of 2 movies, including The Island of Ghosts and The Creeping Phantom. These are 2 films that I would love to see for sure. Outside, they find a poodle with a diamond collar, and on the dog tag, they find an address, so they go to return the poodle. At the address, they find a big and creepy house with a talking gargoyle gate. They are invited into the house by Lucas the butler, who calls for the castle owner. The owner turns out to be Phyliss Diller, who is first introduced with a cigarette in her hand.
Well, hi there.
It's Phyliss Diller.
The big star. Wow, what a surprise. We found him in front of a movie.
I'll see that you receive a generous reward. While you're here, let me show you around.
The castle is haunted and they encounter lots of weird things. First of all, they hear a banshee wail, but Velma writes that off as the wind.
This hallway is from an ancient castle, haunted by the Banshee of Glockmora. That was the Banshee. Don't you just love it?
Probably just the wind.
These are the pictures of my 5 late husbands.
They all look real nice.
Yeah, nice and rich.
Shaggy sees a lot of weird stuff too, but the rest of the gang, they don't see it, and Shaggy notices that they're being watched, but the entire gang, they're just oblivious to this fact. Lucas the butler then calls on Mrs. Diller halfway through her tour, and Lucas brings Phyliss and the gang to the library, which has been wrecked and vandalized and torn up. Phyliss explains she has a hidden stash of jewels, and that the burglar is probably trying to break in and find those jewels. They also find a bag with the initials MM on it, but before they can inspect it further, the thief snatches it and runs away.
They were looking for my priceless jewel collection. Luckily, they didn't find it. I have a secret hiding place.
Look at the initials. MM.
No thief would leave a bag with his initials on it.
He went that way.
Freddy, Daphne, and Velma chase after the thief, which leads them to a graveyard. Outside, they encounter a haunted gargoyle statue, which takes chase after them. Everyone reunites and a magician shows up at the front door.
Lucas, someone's at the front door.
I am a magician.
A great Misto.
I am from the Magic Mansion.
The magician's name is the Great Mysterio, and he explains that someone from the Magic Mansion has a message from the spirit world for Phyliss. Mysterio says Madame Zokar, who is a medium from the Magic Mansion, has spoken to Phyllis's first husband, who is named Wilbur. And Wilbur's spirit requests them at the Magic Mansion.
I have an important message for Miss Diller from the spirit world. I am from the famous Magic Mansion. I bring you a message from Madame Zokar, who talks to all the spirits. Madame Zokar has been in touch with the spirit of your first husband, Wilbur. He wishes you to come to the Magic Mansion at once.
Everyone then heads off to the Magic Mansion, and Velma suspects there is a connection between the mansion and the bag with MM on it because MM could stand for Magic Mansion.
Hey, Magic Mansion, MM. There could be a connection.
At the mansion, we get plenty more spooky shenanigans, and we also meet Madame Zokar, who is one confused lady.
looking for Madame Zokar, the spirit lady.
Madame Zokar is in the dreary dungeon. Ladies and gentlemen, Madame Zokar.
Oh, dear, oh.
Come in, Madame Zokar.
We also meet Alberto, the doorman, at the Magic Mansion. Madame Zokar gives a seance, and Phyliss gets a chance to talk to Wilbur, who says he's worried about all the jewels he gave her. Alberto is also attending the seance, and Mysterio also pops in to listen in, as well as Lucas. Phyliss tells Wilbur that the jewels are safe, and they're behind a wall safe behind his portrait, and the safe can only be opened at midnight, at the stroke of midnight, where it kind of opens automatically.
She fell asleep.
Oh, yes. Oh, what? Oh, yes. The ghosts are arising. The ghosts are rising. Calling the spirit of Miss Diller's third husband.
I'm worried about all those jewels I gave you.
Well, they're in the wall safe behind your picture in the living room. And it can be opened only at the stroke of midnight.
Ah, excellent, my dear.
The lights then go off, and when they come back on, it's just Phyliss and the gang in the room, and the gang try their best to get out. Phyliss asks them what's the rush, and the gang explain that she just told everyone where her jewels were, and someone's probably going to go back and rob them because it's like 11 p.m. right now, so they only have an hour to get back before that safe opens at midnight. Unfortunately, the owners of the building have locked the building so the gang can't get out, but there's also a magic show going on with a pretty big audience, so Freddy has a plan where he dresses up himself and the girls as furniture movies, and they stuff Shaggy and Scooby into a coffin, and they plan to act as furniture movers to get this coffin out of the building. And the plan works, but not before the coffin becomes part of the magician's show, which is being held at Magic Mansion. As they escape the mansion, it is now 11:45, so they have 15 minutes to get back to the castle. Phyliss is in her limo with Lucas driving, and the gang are in the Mystery Machine. A fallen tree that was cut down on purpose separates the gang from Phyliss, and the gang are set off on a detour that sends them down a river on a raft. And we get a hilarious scene with the bridge operator that I just adored.
Hey, open the bridge. We're coming through.
Okay. One open bridge coming up.
Open the bridge.
I'm trying. You make me so nervous.
Eventually, the gang make it back to the mansion, and it's 11:50, so this whole detour only took 5 minutes. Cartoon logic, we all love it, right? And the front door is locked, so they sneak in through an open window. We see a nosy neighbor peek her head out, and she calls the police on the gang as they climb in.
Chester, call the police. Thieves are breaking into Miss Diller's house.
Inside, the gang run into Mistro the magician, as well as two spooky men in trench coats and gray skull-like faces, and they're wearing fedora hats. These skull characters chase them around the castle, and we get a long chase scene, and we also find Phyliss tied up in a grandfather clock at 1 minute before midnight.
Miss Diller!
And when I walked into the house, some impetuous fool grabbed me.
1 minute until midnight.
Lucas the butler is also missing. The gang run into the room with the safe with the portraits, and they hide and wait for the villain to show up. And just as soon as the villains show up to steal the jewels, they confront the thieves, but also the police show up, and the thieves turn out to be Alberto, who was the doorman from Magic Mansion, and his accomplice, who we never find out who that is.
Alberto, you naughty person.
Yes, it would have been a clean job, too, if those kids hadn't butted in.
They locked me in the linen closet till the police let me out. I came over to keep an eye on my little wife, Madame Zokar.
The Mysterio the magician, he had nothing to do with it, and anyone else we met had nothing to do with it, not even the Madame Zokar, and Madame Zokar just turned out to be Lucas's wife. Lucas also explains that he was tied up in the linen closet and the police had to untie him. And with another mystery solved, the gang head off on their next adventure. I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. I'm surprised. I really enjoyed this episode. This episode was just bonkers. It was crazy. It was just wacko. It wasn't scary at all, but there's just so much insanity going on that I just had a fun time watching this. The art style in this episode looks great, at least on Blu-ray, which is how I watched it. And I think that's why I enjoyed this so much. Some of the earlier episodes, the art was really weird, even on Blu-ray, and it just seemed off. And this episode was pretty clean. A lot of it doesn't take place at night, so I think you get a lot of daylight shots, so everything kind of looks crisp and clean, which is part of the reason why I enjoyed it. The jokes in this one hit the mark for me. There's a bridge operator near the end. I don't really show him in my review, but this guy just doesn't know how to do his job properly, and he's having a tough day, and it's just a really funny scene that they shoehorned in, and I wish they did this a little more in this series, because instead of padding, this just kind of made for a really comedic scene that I enjoyed. The cheesy magician as a suspect was quite fun. They just kind of really tie this up really quick at the end. So the magician wasn't guilty at all, even though he turns up in Phyllis's house at the end, and he was the one who brought them to the castle. Also, the seance wife of the butler wasn't guilty at all. She was just doing her job, I guess. The only guilty person was the person named, what was his name? It was Alberto, the doorman from Magic Mansion, and his assistant. So it was kind of weird that way, and that there was too many characters, and then bam, right at the end, we just kind of get this, oh yeah, there's this character that we kind of saw midway through 40 minutes ago. He's the guilty one. So yeah, not a perfect episode. The Haunted Castle doesn't necessarily suit Phyllis either, but I liked it. It kind of reminded me how Flintstones always had like a haunted castle. This was very similar in that there's a lot of weird stuff going on. And there's some spooky artifacts that were kind of cool. Overall, I like the magic magician building too. That was kind of fun. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even know they went to a different location. So you got to kind of pay attention in this episode because it's easy to fade off with these longer episodes and to kind of like not pay attention. I find they're just a little too long. Anyway, 7.5 out of 10. Oh yeah, I also like the villains near the end who had like that skull mask kinda and the fedora and the trench coats. I thought they were really cool and they were creepy. I wished we saw more of them. Once again, thank you for any likes, views, subscribes, shares. Again, I just want to spread the word of Scooby-Doo. Not that I'm saving Scooby-Doo or anything. Scooby-Doo is doing fine on his own. There's new episodes of Scooby-Doo coming out frequently, but I just kind of want to encourage people to look back on Scooby-Doo, watch the older episodes, and see if they enjoy them, and perhaps buy the Blu-rays, buy the DVDs. The more people who do, the more these will be available for everyone who wants them, right? And they're just great to have on hand. If your power goes out, you can still kind of fire up the laptop and put in a DVD, and you got a couple hours to watch an episode or whatnot. Or if your internet goes down, which happens more and more frequently, at least in my area, and you can't stream anything, at least you got a DVD to keep you occupied. Anyway, join me next week when I will be covering Sandy Duncan's Jekyll and Hyde. Until next week, stay spooky.
Yeah.